Connor O'Gara always plugged in. That would have been the better transition. They're always plugged in. Connor, what is up, my friend? How are you today?
Gentlemen, doing well. I feel like I have to disclose this. Dunaway just sent me a text. I miss you.
Yeah.
I'm literally right in front of you guys. Like
I know.
I
I
don't
was
know
just
how I can be missed.
So I'm sitting here
You're
watching.
literally looking at me.
Watching you do an interview with Brown yesterday. I put my earbuds in, but I didn't have any music playing because I wanted to hear what y'all were talking about because of my FOMO. And you're a guy that eats so many innings for us. Out of season.
Eats innings?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
you're the.
I love that.
Yeah.
Look. I will. That is actually a very, very big compliment for what I do, because if I were just a seasonal guy with college football, I'm not an innings eater. But I do truly pride myself on being able to have these conversations and, not just be able to talk about them when games are going on, but to be able to, provide entertainment in beginning of June when nobody has any idea what in the world they're going to, do to pass the time. So innings eater is a perfectly fine thing to be called.
Well, I tell the Sirius XM producer that gets me on occasionally, I told him that he like texted me last week and he was like, hey, can you help me out Sunday morning? And I said, dude, I told you, I am the guy that anytime you're in a jam, you get canceled on, that can be your easy get out. So I just feel like we should have you on more during the season. I'm happy when we get you is all I meant. I miss you this time of year. I love you when we get you on 6 times in July when there's nothing to talk about. You're a great inning eater.
This is basically him asking you to ask him to be on your show.
That's right.
Oh, I think I was on it before
Look, we're
Brown.
good. We can do that.
Yeah, I did the Connor O'Gara podcast way before Brown.
Yes. So I noticed he moved to me. So on the Alexander Shenard trial attorneys hotline is where you find Connor O'Gara Saturday down south. I want to ask a broader question because we started the show talking about Lincoln Riley perhaps moving to another place. We posed the question, would LSU fans be happy if LSU went out and stole Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma? Do you think LSU fans would be happy with that? Or excuse me, from USC, not from Oklahoma. Do you think they would be happy with that?
Yeah, Oklahoma fans wouldn't be happy with that.
No, absolutely.
No, I don't think so. I think that there are a lot of people looking at what Lincoln Riley has done and going, wait a minute, why is he considered worthy of these 3 premier jobs, if that's indeed the speculation that I know Josh Pate has brought up as well? And I'm sitting here going, guys, like, I think there's a more economical way to get to the places you want to go that don't go through Lincoln Riley. I just think that the way that things have ended, if things have ended so poorly with 2 different premier programs, which would be Oklahoma and USC, why would you want to sign up to be the 3rd? That's the thing that I'm struggling to kind of grasp, because let's be honest, like, USC's been all right this year. This has been all right. But if he's leaving, it's a sign that he doesn't think he can handle this. And if you can't handle it with your house, with the 12 bathrooms and the burnt brisket and all that crap that you got going on there, then why do you think you're going to handle it at LSU?
Yeah, and Connor, I've always said that him and Brian Kelly are kind of handcuffed because they came in at the same time. The jobs are kind of comparable, making kind of same money, the expectation kind of the same at both places. And the fact of the matter is Brian Kelly did more in his 3+ years at LSU than Lincoln Riley did at USC. That's why it blows me away.
Yeah, I mean, both had a Heisman Trophy winner, but, Brian Kelly went to a conference championship at least. And meanwhile, Lincoln Riley is sitting there. And this is something that hasn't been talked about enough, and I'm curious if you guys have ever brought this up, but it was something Matt Hayes wrote about for USA Today last year. And Lincoln Riley got hit with an NCAA punishment about having too many analysts in on-field roles, and they changed that rule the following year. So he basically committed a violation the last possible year that you could commit this violation, and he kind of quietly got put on probation last year, or not probation, but like they handed out this punishment, and essentially it was like, hey, USC could fire him with cause if they wanted to and get out of this $80 million buyout if they really wanted to. Now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, and no doubt Lincoln Riley would take him to court if that ever resurfaced, because it'd be like, why didn't you just fire me at the time if it was such a big detriment and I was still recruiting really well? But just a weird situation, LT, and I'm sure it's one that you're kind of just struggling to find the optimism in.
Yeah, I'm interested with the Auburn opening. We love Jon Sumrall, his ties to the state and the area and the job he has done in his coaching career. Do you feel like it's Jon Sumrall's job at Auburn, or do you feel like there are other candidates that could pop into the conversation down there? What's your take on the Auburn job as we move through this search over the next month?
Jon Sumrall, not Lane Kiffin, is the most fascinating person in this cycle because there's a really good chance, and this is something that Ryan and I talked about on my show yesterday. There's a really good chance that we just wake up tomorrow morning and, oh, Lane Kiffin signed an extension, he's staying at Ole Miss. And that's not necessarily going to come off as some massive surprise, whereas Jon Sumrall, this is his time. I mean, this is his time. He can say all the right things about the job that he's done at Tulane, and he could talk about how we're focused on being able to win the American and all these different things, but this is his time with the market that's setting up to be really favorable for him because look at all these vacancies. He's got experience in the state of Alabama, and that could make him the obvious candidate for Auburn. It can make him kind of the no-nonsense target in which this search doesn't go a billion different ways. But if you're LSU, why wouldn't you look at a guy that's already coaching in your state? If you're Florida, why wouldn't you look at a guy that seemingly has a track record all over the South? And then, oh, by the way, his alma mater, Kentucky, is sitting there going, wait a minute, I thought that was our coach in waiting, and now we might have to make a $37 million decision on Mark Stoops to be able to still be fourth in that line to get Jon Sumrall. He's going to be highly coveted, and in my opinion, it's just a matter of where he wants to go and where he feels like he has the most alignment. Maybe that does end up being Auburn.
Connor O'Gara is with us at CJ O'Gara on social media. Read him at Saturday in the South. Get his podcast everywhere you get our podcast, and make sure you subscribe, set your alerts so you know when Connor drops content there. Always good college football content. His latest guest, Ryan Brown from the Next Round in Birmingham, Alabama.
Good guy.
Yes, I've heard. Connor, we always talk Indiana. I joked with Connor about this. We always talk Indiana when he comes out because Connor, if you don't know, is an Indiana grad. So they're relevant now. I was thinking about this morning in anticipation of talking to you. He's done a year and a half, basically, a year and 3/4. And this may be the only time you've ever been able to do this. Can you say through a year and 3/4 that Curt Cignetti is already the greatest football coach in Indiana football history?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think you can.
I mean, think about that.
You can.
A year and 3/4, and you can already say, yeah, that's
his first back-to-back 9-0 seasons ever.
I know. I mean, it's a testament to how bad your school has been at football, but still, that's pretty remarkable.
The worst.
Yeah.
The most losses of any Division I program. The most losses.
Right.
Guys, Indiana is still searching for its first postseason win since 1991. I couldn't use a toilet yet. I'm 35. There are things about this program that I think we're like, you know what? It's a basketball school that's found some success in football, and it's kind of fun or whatever. And there are plenty of programs like this across the country. I don't think people are able to fully grasp just how bad the history of Indiana football is. It is a true joke, and it is why Curt Cignetti is getting this treatment. And there are people that'll look at that contract and go, man, in 3 years, they're going to be looking up and going, what a ridiculous buyout, and they need to find a way out of this. It'll still have been worth it to get these 2 seasons that just don't ever happen. Individually, they don't happen. The fact that they're happening back to back is insane to me. He's so much closer to statue territory than so many coaches in college football. And it is, like I say it every single time I come on here, it's really hard to process. Like, you're, as an Indiana grad, you're just waiting for the worst possible thing to happen, for him to turn into a pumpkin and for this program to stop dominating football games. But I am no longer holding my breath on that.
I don't know if you've seen the 80s classic Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock at her finest. But anyway, he wakes up after a coma. He's shot by a bunch of mob members, and he wakes up, months later. We posed this yesterday. If you went and you looked at the first college football playoff rankings of the season, and you had just woken up from mid-August, what is the first thing that would jump out to you?
How is Indiana at number 2? If we're being 100% honest, that's the thing. Because I think I told you guys 8-4 was my most optimistic projection. But I'll do what the selection committee did. I'll turn my hat in at the door, my homer hat.
So dumb.
Sure it takes all their bias away.
What about Clemson not being in the top 25?
That's the one. That's gotta be the one. And look, I could point to my national championship pick, LSU, not being in the top 25 as well. Let's call it fair on both on both sides there, but that's got to be the one. The fact that Clemson is sitting here with 3 wins right now in the first ranking of the college football playoff is so hard to fathom. And I felt like I was the guy in the offseason who was saying, look, let's chill on this Clemson hype of they're going to get back to their latter half of the 2010s ways. I think they still had a lot of issues defending the run. I think that they still had questions on the defensive side of the ball that weren't necessarily being addressed with all the first round talent that they had on that defensive line. And oh, by the way, they had a converted wide receiver as their starting running back. Like, there were a lot of things that we still needed to kind of figure out. And oh, by the way, they couldn't beat an SEC team last year. So all of a sudden we're just led to believe that they're going to win a national championship. I just wasn't necessarily buying that. And I had them in the semifinal. So like, I'm just blown away that it's gone this badly. I did not forecast Dabo Swinney falling off the face of the earth like this and making headlines for calling out refs instead of, actual on-field games, because Clemson's just a joke.
Scary time for Vandy and Alabama home games against interim coaches. More likely to pull the upset this weekend, Auburn at Vandy or LSU at Alabama?
I'm going to say Auburn at Vandy because it's a Diego Pavia, Hugh Freeze thing. And, Hugh Freeze isn't there anymore. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. So DJ Durkin, the guy that held that Vandy offense to 227 yards in that game last year, in which Vandy's offense did nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. They got that leaping penalty to extend that drive that everybody was kind of like, wait a minute, how is that called in this spot? And DJ Durkin's defense has been great this year. I know I saw the stat from the barn about how they're one of 3 teams in college football that have yet to allow 25 points in a game, and the other 2 are Indiana and Ohio State, the 2 top teams in the country. Auburn's defense is legit good, at least in the front 7. And so I could see that playing out. Beware of interim coach energy. We're not going to call it ice or anything like that. That's we're going to stay away from that, just all the obvious reasons. But interim coach energy could very much be in the favor of LSU. Like the 2 times they've had an interim coach in the last decade against Bama, they've kept it within 10. Both of those were at Ogeron, 2016, 2021. So like Frank Wilson going in Tuscaloosa and kind of keeping it close against the Bama team with a margin of victory in SEC play of 9 points. Like, I think that could stay close, but Vandy losing to Auburn seems a little bit more realistic than LSU going into Tuscaloosa and winning there.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South at CJ O'Gara on social media with us on the Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys Hotline. From the outside looking in, Oregon at Iowa would normally get played as this fast-paced offense that loves to move it against this slow, grinding defense. Are we overplaying both of those a little bit? How do you see this Oregon-Iowa game playing out?
Man, this game is being slept on. And this slate overall is kind of being slept on because I think it's better than some people are realizing. But I think points will – I still kind of think points will be at a premium. And I know that the Iowa offense has been on a tear, which what's a tear for the Iowa offense? Like scoring 2 touchdowns in the first half of a game. Basically, like Gronowski looks like the part finally. And I have like all my Iowa buddies, like two of my 3 best friends in the world are Iowa grads. And so I'll text them about all things Iowa. And they had written him off and the entire offense off a month ago. And that's very much changed. But I still tend to think this is a good spot for Dan Lanning. I think this is the type of atmosphere that he can, kind of handle. And I think that they can handle this, resurgent Iowa offense. And Dante Moore is still going to be able to make big time plays. So it's a really, really intriguing Big Ten battle that's probably not being talked about enough. But I do think that Oregon is going to be standing there at the end, even though their resume right now with that Penn State win, the way that it's aged, not looking as good as it once did.
It's in play that Mississippi State on Saturday could beat Georgia in Starkville. They played everybody outside of A&M on the road tight. We've said it for weeks, if not months, that Jeff Lebby has the most improved product in college football. What's crazy to me, Connor, if they win this game, I think people will start talking about him possibly, 2 and done at Mississippi State and getting one of these big jobs. If they just keep it close, nobody's talking about Jeff Lebby, which is really strange because it seems, I know it's a small sample size, it seems like this guy knows how to build a program.
Yeah, and very much a few close wins away. They led at the 2-minute timeout against Tennessee and Texas. They should have beat Florida too on the road, and for whatever reason made that inexplicable decision to throw the football in that spot there when they looked like they were in field goal range. So yeah, they're a team that right now could have a lot more wins, and who knows if they beat Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. People are talking about Mississippi State a lot more. I think there's still a little bit more skepticism with Jeff Lebby, and I'm not sure he wants to leave that situation yet. He has alignment with Zach Selman, the AD, both of those guys coming from Oklahoma. I mean, I think there is something there that Jeff Lebby really likes in Starkville. But yeah, this is such a fascinating matchup because Georgia's been the team that, 5 of the 6 SEC games that they played in, they haven't led at halftime. And Mississippi State, meanwhile, is like, hey, we're capable of jumping out and getting a lead, and they're able to, get that play late to overcome, that the second half lead that they blew against Arizona State. So I do think that there are a lot of people kind of sleeping on Mississippi State, and Georgia, just for whatever reason, puts itself in these positions and then makes all the right plays in the second half and just seizes that opportunity. So I still think Georgia wins this game, but the fact that the spread is 7.5, not really surprising, especially when you consider the average scoring margin SEC play. 7 points for Georgia, 7.5 points for Georgia, and then Mississippi State is -7. So those teams are just within a touchdown against whoever they play in the SEC.
All right, he is Connor O'Gara at CJ O'Gara on social media. Get his podcast everywhere you get your podcast, and read him at Saturday Down South. Connor, it is always a pleasure. Thank you very much for the time.
Gentlemen, miss you already.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We love you, man. We'll see you next time. Hey,
See you.
We'll see you soon. Connor with us.
I like it.
With us on the Alex Henderson, our trial attorneys hotline.